All right, good morning from the National Weather Service in Raleigh, North Carolina. My name is Aaron Swiggett, meteorologist here at the office, and I'll be providing the routine weekly briefing for Central North Carolina starting today, Thursday, March 7th, through Wednesday, the 13th of March. All right, so we're well within and coming to the end of the severe weather preparedness week here in North Carolina. We had the statewide tornado drill that was completed on yesterday, and from what I hear, it was a resounding success. So hopefully people across North Carolina were able to participate in that and educate people as best they can what to do within if a tornado warning is issued for their area. So for today, we're talking about and focusing on lightning safety for today. And then Friday, the focus on flash flood safety, and then wrapping it up on Saturday on how to make a plan, putting everything all together. If you have any questions or would like to see a little bit more details about this, the link to the webpage on there is on the screen here, weather.gov/RAH/severe prep, if you have any more information that you would like. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So this is the latest hot off the presses drought update. For the most part is fairly similar, maybe some slight reductions in a few areas across the coastal plain where we had some widespread rain across most of the area, but really started to halt, if not even improve some of the drought conditions out there in those general locations due to that rainfall. But we still have the D0 and even some moderate drought still persistent across Edgecombe County and even parts of maybe Wilson and Wayne County there. Okay, so how about for the upcoming weather pattern? For the most part, today, dry, and temperatures will be rising into the upper 60s to even low 70s, even though we'll have some increasing cloud cover today. The attention is really focused on this next system that's going to be approaching the area. So I'll bring your attention to Friday here, center top panel here. You'll have a well-established system starting to take shape across the central United States here. Then as we approach into Saturday, you can see how this system approaches the Ohio Valley, and a warm front will be approaching us from the south, and that will bring some widespread moderate to potentially even some heavy rain to the area. This warm front will be very important for us to track and will most likely be the delineation or the northern extent of the severe potential that and axis of heavier rain. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. And then you can see by 7 a.m. on Sunday, that low pressure system is well up into the northeast and the cold front has pushed well offshore, and that'll bring an end to the rain. And then this high pressure system down here in the bottom left on Sunday will start to migrate eastward and then take up residence basically across the southeast through a good portion of the rest of the weekend into early next week before shifting offshore and moderating temperatures into Tuesday. Okay, I kind of hinted at it a little bit. Here's the high-level overview of the next 1 to 8 days or so. And I will bring your attention to Saturday, where there's a level 2 risk across Georgia, South Carolina, and into portions of southern North Carolina. And that is for Saturday, with a level 1 risk elsewhere. And just quickly, I'll zoom in here since that's really the only thing that we're looking at to make it a little bit bigger for everyone to see. Again, the level 2 risk down here. And the main threat for this system is going to be damaging straight line winds, with the secondary threat being tornadoes and hail. Again, I kind of mentioned it a little bit on the overview section, but the uncertainty is when the northern extent of this severe, the greatest severe threat. So you kind of think of the slight risk as where a potential watch may be, a severe watch. So where that is going to exist, how far north is it going to exist? There's a lot of uncertainty there, so stay tuned for any updates over the weekend or heading into Friday and even especially into Saturday to see how this outlook changes as we get access to some higher resolution models. Okay, so what does that mean for rainfall? That warm front, again, is going to most likely have an impact on the northern extent of the severe, which also will have an effect on where the axis of heavier precipitation is going to be. So you can kind of see today maybe some spotty stuff in and around the area, but nothing really appreciable. The main event in the system will moving in late Friday into like the Western Piedmont, Western North Carolina, and then especially over the area on Saturday, moving out late Saturday night into Sunday. So again, I will zoom in here for everyone to have a little bit better look at where the rainfall totals are looking like so far for the forecast, with lower totals up across the north, especially as you approach the North Carolina-Virginia border, approaching half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, and then this axis of heavier precipitation and rainfall totals forecasted. We have around 2 to 3 inches across our far southern Sandhills, southern Piedmont area. Certainly isolated totals could be higher than that, but where that axis is going to be is very dependent upon where that warm front and the deeper convection, deeper showers and storms are going to be. So again, a lot of uncertainty there, but for the most part, keep tuned on the forecast to see how this will change and update. And of course, we'll be updating you with regular briefings in your email if you have any, to keep you guys updated on the latest and greatest information. And with that axis of heavy rainfall, not surprisingly, we have a risk for some isolated to maybe even some scattered flash flooding possible, mainly across the southern Piedmont into the Sandhills of North Carolina, and that is again on Saturday. And for the most part, mostly expecting, especially where that axis is going to set up, primarily the focus for the flash flooding potential would be mostly in urban areas and poor drainage locations being our primary concern. Okay, let's look a little bit farther out, 8 to 14 day outlook, courtesy of the Climate Prediction Center. Certainly seems to be trending in the mid-March to approaching late March timeframe, March 14th through the 20th, that 70 or 50 to even upwards of 70% chances of leaning towards above normal temperatures, and 40 to 50% chance of or leaning towards a more active or wetter pattern. So warmer and wetter, certainly heading into our spring season. Yeah, we'll see how this all kind of pans out, but you can kind of see the normals across the bottom there. Highs are starting to creep into the low to mid 60s, and lows starting to approach into the 40s. So the pattern change and the seasonal change is well underway as we're heading into March and late March. All right, and then a very popular graphic that we like to show here. You'll see lots of colors here. I will try to direct your attention to a few different areas. You can kind of see these oranges and yellows from the severe thunderstorm, lightning, and excessive rain. All of that is mostly late Friday night into mostly on Saturday, and that's when our greatest severe threat and flooding threat is going to be on Saturday. And then the wind here is mostly from the storms itself, but then also as the front pushes through, it could be a little bit breezy Sunday and even into Monday. And then fire weather here, as you can see them highlighted. I think for the most part, the meteorological conditions, it may be a little bit breezier, a little bit drier air mass, but it's really going to be dependent upon the soil conditions, on if we're going to have any sort of fire weather concerns on those days, since we're going to be getting such a widespread and moderate to heavy rainfall before these days. So I wouldn't put too much into that until we get a little bit closer and we see what the axis of precipitation footprint looks like, to see if those if there would be any kind of fire weather concern with that. Okay, and that's pretty much all I have for you guys, everyone. Again, just a quick roundup. Drier today, next system really approaching late Friday into Saturday. Anywhere between 3/4 of an inch to maybe upwards of 2.5 inches locally, maybe some higher totals in there, depending upon where the storms develop. And then behind that, dry and breezy, and I guess for the most part, just dry is the more important thing there. And then, yeah, so the hazards impacts for the most part, expecting, again, depending upon where that warm front develops and how far north it goes, but damaging wind gusts, isolated tornadoes, and scattered flash flooding, all possible. And the flash flooding, mainly a concern in the urban areas and poor drainage locations. Thank you all for joining me today on this Thursday. Thank you, and we'll keep you updated on any of the latest and greatest information there. And hope you all have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.